Antoine Bauza's Seven Wonders, which debuted in 2010, has been one of the most successful games of the past 2 decades, so it's no surprise that Bauza and publisher Repo Production have released multiple expansions for the game, with Leaders, Cities, Babel, Armada, and Edifice all coming out over the past 15 years, along with smaller Wonders and Leaders expansions, all sorts of stuff just dribbling out there. Had a second edition of the game coming out in 2020, and you have standalone spin-off versions of the design. Seven Wonders Duel coming in 2015, co-designed with Bruno Cathala. You have Seven Wonders Architects, a family-friendly version of the game coming out in 2021. And in 2025, those are joined by Seven Wonders Dice, a roll and write version of the game for 2 to 7 players. And the elements are all familiar in that each player gets their own wonder that has different bonuses as they work on the different levels. You have multiple arenas of play in which you are probably going to want to specialize in a couple of them in order to maximize those points. The elements are all familiar, but how much does it feel like Seven Wonders? Here are the components of Seven Wonders Dice, with each player getting their own wonder board, erasable pencil, and cloth eraser. They are going to share 7 dice that are rolled each round, with each player then choosing to take an action, with the typical action being to pick a die from the box and mark something on your board. People can choose the same die if they want, or you can build a level of your wonder, or you can just take 3 coins. Ideally, you don't want to do that, but you might have to. Set up, you're going to open your wonder. You start with 7 coins and nothing else. You have 8 buildings, and that includes your wonder. Each time you finish a building, you get a bonus. When someone finishes their 3rd building, you take 1 final turn, and then you add up your points. On a turn, someone is going to roll the dice. And you do that by imagining the die box revolving around the sun or some central object there, because the box has ridges on the bottom of it, and as you move the box this way, the dice will tumble around inside the box, landing inside one of the 4 quadrants. To use a die, the A action, you must pay the gold coin price listed, 0, 1, 2, or 3, and at the beginning of the game, you're probably going to choose cheap resources if you can. So I can get a 0-cost brick. I go down here, and each thing that you can mark off has a resource cost of 0 to 6. So I spend 0 coins to get the brick. There's a 0 resource cost to mark off the brick, so I mark it off. And now I have 1 resource for the rest of the game to use for any of the costs listed. So if you have a cost listed of, let's see, 3, I just need 3 resources. Doesn't matter what they are. If I don't have enough resources, I can pay gold. So you're trying to build up resources in order to cover that cost, or just trying to get a whole lot of gold so that you can cover those costs. You probably want to balance the 2. It depends on the wonder you're working on, what comes up, what you're focusing on. So I made my selection. Everyone else has done the same. Go again. So I can do 0-cost stone. I can do a 1-cost stone, which makes no sense. But there we go. Now I got 2 resources. It's a good foundation on which to build. Here we go. 0-cost science. So science is in the green building. There are 3 different icons, right? All the familiar stuff that you might expect from Seven Wonders. This costs 0 coins, and I can mark off the sextant if I pay, in quotes there, 1 resource. I have 2, so I can mark this off. And now, each time I choose a yellow die, the rest of the game, I earn 2 coins. So it gives me a focus for what I want to do. And this is one area where the wonders are differentiated. So this board, you get money when you use a blue die. You get money when you use a green die. So small differences there in the science building, but these are the same. The leader building's the same. The guild's the same. So the wonders are different. So mostly the same, but some differences. So with that in mind, okay, I can do This, I can get 7 coins for a cost of nothing on the yellow die. That does actually mean I get 2 more coins. Or I can mark off the space here by the tombstone, or whatever you want to call it. Needs a 2 cost here. I've got 2 resources, so I can mark this off. Each time I choose the red die for the rest of the game, I don't have to pay any extra gold. The cost is 0, no matter where it is in the box. So each time you mark something off, you have to mark off the space that's closest to the arrow. So initially I have to do the leftmost one here and here. If I choose the treasure chest on the yellow, I can choose any of these 3. The blue ones, you start at the bottom and go up, or you start here and go left to right. Red ones start at the bottom and go up. Okay, can't do the purple, can't do the white because there's no purple die, there's no white die. Okay, I got another one. 0 cost. Here we go. I get 5 points if I spend 3 resources. I've got to spend the gold. It's very fast when you're not waiting on any other players. I've got an axe here in the 0 cost. I could focus on this, or maybe I want to work on science. If you look at my wonder, each level I completed in the wonder, I actually get to, in this case, take a green action. Okay, so instead of choosing to use a die here, I can take the B action and pay the cost for this level of the wonder. It costs 2 resources. I've got 2. I do this here, and now I mark off a green space. So I can mark off any of the leftmost green spaces. If I do this one, which has a 0 cost, I get to immediately mark a green action. The wonder is telling me, do green. Now I get to mark off another green action. I can get points, or I can introduce a new die. Each time you get to the right-hand side of one of these 3 green rows, you add a new die in play. Let's do that to show you how this works. This has a cost of 4, so I spend 2 gold. I'm going to bring in the black die, which represents the city's expansion. To bring this in, we still want to have 7 dice here, so you choose a die, a resource die at random, and take it out. So, as new dice are introduced to the game, the resources will deplenish, which mimics the action of 7 Wonders as you go through the different ages. Okay. I still have only 2 resources, and I have stone already. I don't have wood. I could spend 2, and then I get wood, and then that gives me 3 resources. I would guess at least half the things here cost at least 3. Maybe I want to do that. Or maybe I want to go over here, choose the camel. It costs me 1 gold to choose the camel. I can choose one of these 3 spaces. So I can go here for a cost of 2 and mark off a resource. So I can do both things, chaining those actions together. So I choose yellow, get to mark off a resource. I can mark off something here. Let's go ahead and mark off the papyrus, which costs 2, but I have 2, so I don't have to pay any gold. And because I chose the yellow die, I get 2 coins. Okay. Now, I could have chosen the black die, which lets me do any yellow, mark off any yellow space here. But I did not do that. And only the people who have marked off this space can choose the black die. So by me adding this die to the mix, it reduces the choices for other players. And they might do the same to you, of course. All right, everything's nice and expensive. I can not do this because I've marked off all 3 spaces. Okay, green is out. I can pay 3 coins and choose a red of my choice as opposed to paying 2 and getting the sword. Maybe I want to go ahead, build another section of my wonder. It costs me a gold because I have 3 resources and the cost is 4. I may as well mark this off. It has a cost of 3. There we go. I want to keep moving. All right. All right, let's go ahead and do this, which I can just barely do from the gold that I have. So I could do this action. So the cities die has one of the 5 main colors, red, blue, yellow, green, and the tan, beige, as well as a face that has all 4 of these. These red buildings are separate buildings. I'll get to those actions at some point, but let me show you here. If I choose the gear, cost 6. I have to pay 1, have to pay 3 more. That takes all my gold. But we add the white die, representing the leader's expansion. And we take out another resource. Okay, this here, we'll just take the mask action. It's got a 0 cost. I take the mark the leftmost space. I get 3 points. Blue is very straightforward. Get points. That's it. Every space here can be reached 2 different ways, going across or up. And the first player to mark all 8 of these spaces will mark this and get 3 extra points. So if you start blue, you might as well just specialize in blue, because you can't get these valuable spaces until you do the first one here or the first 2 here. But maybe I just decide to do that. Or I can mark a building of my choice. There we go. Let's choose this one, which has a cost of 0. I get 2 gold because I choose the yellow die. I can mark one of those 3. Let's mark this one. It has a cost of 3. I get 1 gold per resource that I have marked. And at the end of the game, I get 1 point per resource I have marked. Okay. So similar to 7 Wonders, you're building up bit by bit. Do I want a whole ton of resources? Do I want the leader die? Anyone who has marked off this space gets to choose the leader die. 2 of the sides on the leader die just show a head with some laurels. You would mark one of these 2 spaces. At the end of the game, you would score, if you have marked this, 1 point per space you have marked off in the white building, including this one. So I would score 1 point. If you've marked both of them, it's 2 points per space you've marked off. I don't have those yet, but I can mark this, which has a cost of 0. And then I get to mark off 2 yellow spaces at the same time. Let's mark this one. Since I can pay the resource cost of 1, I get 7 gold. I seem to be not doing too much more with resources this game. Then we can go here. There's cost of 4. I mark off 1, mark this. I immediately get 1 gold per yellow that I've marked. So that's 4 more gold. And I get 1 point per yellow space that I've marked off at the end of the game. So the leader die is awesome in that you generally get to take 2 actions with it. I only get to do the yellow one once, but better to mark 2 things at once when possible. Okay, I can mark this off, get a point. I can do this and do another yellow building at a cost of 1. Let's finish something off, or at least get close. If I choose this one, which costs 5, so I have to spend 2 more gold, the cost to pick a die is lowered by 1. So the costs are now 0, 0, 1, 2, if you have marked this space. I can mark 2 in the green area. If I'm doing this, mark 2 green, cost is 0. I mark this one, I have 3 resources, I'll get 4 points. This costs 2 more gold. And now we'll add the purple die, taking out the final resource. So I'm stuck with 3 resources. I have no other way to get them at this point. I've already marked that space that gives me a free one. That's it. So I'm gonna have to make sure I have enough gold to cover my cost. On top of that, I have completed the green building. And when you do that, when you complete any of the 8 buildings, which includes the Wonder, you take one of these bonuses. I can get 7 coins. I can take an action where I mark off a red, blue, yellow, green, or I can take another turn, choosing again the A, B, or C action. So maybe looking at what I have here, I know what I want to do. I want to, do this, take another turn. And when I take another turn, all right, I choose A, B, or C action, I can go up to my wonder, cost 6. I have 3 resources, I pay 3 gold. Okay. I completed another building, I get another bonus. I'm going to do this. Lets me mark off one of these spaces. Well, let's go mark off this one, which costs 6. That's my 3rd building. This is the fastest game I can imagine because I've ignored red completely, ignored purple, ignored red over here, ignored blue. So I'd mark off a 3rd building. We'd have 1 more turn. I get 2 gold immediately for each level of the wonder that I've completed. So another 6. Gold at the end of the game is worthless, so it doesn't really matter, but I get 2 points per level that I've completed. And you'd have 1 final roll to do something with. Let me, the purple die. This represents guilds, as in the Seven Wonders base game. You are comparing how much you have marked off compared to your left and right neighbors. So I can choose either red building and say, have I marked off more spaces than each player on my left and right? And of course I haven't, because I've marked nothing, unless they've marked nothing as well. If you had this one, have I marked off as many green as each of my neighbors? And of course I have, because I marked off everything. If it was yellow, I've marked off all of that. Cool. I would get to mark the leftmost guild space, cost 4, it'd spend the gold, and get 5 points. If you manage to get into the guilds, it takes only 3 actions to cover this, assuming the right faces come up for you. Right? You can have the blue one, you can have how many levels of the wonder have you done, how many resources do you have compared to everyone else. So that's what the guilds do. Okay, the red action. Haven't talked about that. Let me do this here. So, if you roll a sword, you're attacking the player to this side of you. There's a little faint 3 here and a cost of 2. You see how many defenses that player has. If they have nothing, you write 3. If they have marked 1 defense space on this side of the board, because that will be the one that you're looking at, then you would mark 2. If they have 2 spaces on defense marked, you write 1. So your defense is keeping your neighbor from scoring. That is the value of defense here. So I can mark 3. That'd be my last action. We would add up points. If an axe came up, again, I would compare my attacking here with my opponent's defense from the player sitting over here. I mark it the same way. Okay, if a shield comes up, I can mark defense on either side. They have slight difference in cost, but really they're kind of the same. So that's how the red works. You got green, yellow, blue, purple. Covered everything. And now you add up your points. And this is the most Seven Wonders part of it. How many points did you score for your wonder? Well, I got 7. How many for this barracks? Nothing. This barracks? Nothing. This one, I got 3. Yellow. Well, I get 1 point per resource, 3. 1 point per yellow that I've marked, 6. 2 points per wonder, 6. So 15. How many green? Well, I got 12. It's the most you can get. 0 to 12. Purple, I got nothing. Leaders, nothing. What's my score? 10, 20, 37. That's an incredibly low score. But, as I mentioned, that is the fastest I have ever had a game completed. It's kind of amazing it worked out that way. Scores have ranged in the games that we've completed from around 50 to above 90. So you're doing a lot more. Games typically last much longer, but you can compare what other people are doing and decide, do you want to end it at that point? Are you ready? You're going to look around and see what other people have marked off, and maybe you feel 37 is ideal. Okay. You can track what other people are doing by really looking at their boards, or you just kind of wing it. How much do you want to calculate what everyone has? Now, let me show you the different wonders that are similar to the base game. So you have this one here. You complete this level, you take a blue or yellow action. You take a green or red action in either red barracks. You get 7 points. That's the last one on all the wonders. These differ in science, but otherwise, this is all the same. Sorry, not quite all the same. The cost differs slightly in the resources that you're marking off. So here, the cloth costs 2, the bottle costs 1. Here, papyrus 2, bottle 1. Small differences, but kind of irrelevant. I guess it depends upon which dice are here and what's on the faces. I have not actually looked at these. I assume that the brick, stone, and wood are more common, but I never like to look at stuff like that. I like to just wing it, play it by feel. This wonder, you're just getting points. Okay, very straightforward. This wonder, you take 2 red actions. Specialize and attack there. You get 2 coins whenever you do attack. We choose the red die as well. This wonder, money and points. Okay. This one, resources. So don't spend too much time marking off those resources. Maybe you just want to knock off the first 2 levels of the wonder first. Or get 2, do this, do more. Okay. Last wonder. You get to choose a die from the display and pay nothing. Doesn't matter where it is and which quadrant. All of the symbols that are on the wonder boards are summarized in these player aids. They're not actually included in the rules. They're only on the player aids. So cross off a space in that color following the cost and building restrictions. You can't just choose the top here. You have to pay the 6 cost, or if you were up to that point. Choose the color, choose mark 2, blah, 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 blah. I already went over all of this. There's only 3 of these aids, which is a little weird in a game that goes up to 7 players, but I guess you assume the person teaching the game knows what everything is, and you put one of these between each pair of players, and then you're all set, if you're playing up to 7. The backside has nice illustrations. Well, the same nice illustration. There's an overview of 7 Wonders Dice, which I played 5 times on a review copy from Repo Production, twice with 2 players, then once with 7 players, then twice with 4 players, which was a nice range of experiences. Although, I will confess that after the 2-player games, my opponent and I were both like, this feels more like product than a game. Like, what was really the inspiration here? Or was it just like, we need to make a dice version of 7 Wonders, right? We're going to put that on the market. We're going to get that done. And I think that's because the 2-player game lacked the interaction with other players as minimal as that was. It was just you and one other person, and whatever I'm marking with my barracks, I'm attacking you, or I'm attacking you. That's it. You're just looking at where that player is in terms of completing buildings, and otherwise, it just kind of heads down and you're doing your own thing. And with more players at the table, you're not interacting with them as much because you're still only attacking to the left or right, but you're paying attention to what other people are doing in the race towards the game ending. How many spaces have you marked? Where are you at this point? What bonuses are you trying to get? And what's still there? Because of course, 2 of the bonuses let you mark something else, which pushes the game towards completion, as you saw in my example game. I still can't believe that game went so fast. I mean, 37 points is a terrible score, but if I could really complete the board that quickly, it's probably good. I don't know. I'm super curious. I wish I had done that exactly in a game with more people and just stun everyone with how quickly that game ended. What a loss. I'll have to try to replicate all of those dice rolls in a game in order to make that happen. But anyway, with lots of people around the table, you get the feel of 7 Wonders, of other people doing things and you looking around. And of course, you're not drafting. You're not taking something that you know the other player wants. You're not throwing a card into your wonder to keep it from someone. That's not there. So you don't have this resource hoarding that you can employ to get an edge on your opponents. It's all solitaire-ish, but by having players race towards something, that then gives the feel of Seven Wonders, which is weird because Seven Wonders is a game with a fixed length. So the elements in terms of gameplay aren't identical, but the feel of the game with more players feels more like Seven Wonders because someone's specializing in green and someone's doing red, someone's doing blue, and you're competing. Do I get the blue bonus? How do my attacks hold up against their defenses? The guild die comes out. Who's going to get that? And that's a much more interesting element with more people in the game because with 2 players, I get the purple die, you don't have it, and that's it. But then as you're playing with more people, I get the purple die, put that in play. Oh, then someone else got the purple die and they mark that off on their science as well. Now they get access to it. Someone else got the white die. Someone else got the black die. So we're specializing a bit more in what we're doing, which feels more like Seven Wonders. You do want to specialize in particular colors because you will maximize the points more. As you fill out blue, as you mark yellow, and you get rewarded for yellow in one of the yellow spaces, as you mark green and get those dice. So you get red, build up towards more points. So that's Seven Wonders-ish. And strangely, you have sort of the feel of the cards in different ages where you get to play the card for free without paying the resource cost. If you had card X, then you get to play card Y automatically because you had effectively that building block of that second card. You don't have that in this game, but you do have the chaining of actions where you get to do 2 things at once for a leader, or you get a bonus and you do another action, or you get the black die and you get to mark something of your choice. You get a little more flexibility in what you're doing, and it feels like you're chaining one thing on top of another. So that has that little element, along with the choices in the green building, where you get 2 coins for choosing a die, or a die that costs 0 when you choose it in the future. So little elements of the design feel more Seven Wonders-ish as you put them together. There's a little weird bit in the game where you can feel like you're sputtering out at the end because possibly the dice just don't work for you at a certain point. Once I've completed everything in the green building, I don't care about the green die. And if the leader comes up with a green face on it, I can't use it. If the guild comes up with a green face, cool. Once I've filled in my wonder, well, now I don't have an exit valve to mark off a space when nothing else would really work. And the wonders often they compel you to mark off certain colors, especially the one with resources. You don't want to wait till the end of the game to do that because then you've probably spent a lot of gold that otherwise you could have covered with the resources you would have marked off. And if you marked off the resources already and then you did the wonder, you're doing things in the wrong order. You're not figuring out how to chain things together the right way in order to build on previous actions. So sometimes a little sputtering at the end. Depends on what you focus on, what dice come up in which quadrants, because maybe you just don't have the money to get something. I've rarely seen someone choose the take a 3-coin action. That's really when there's nothing else that's of use to me. Just haven't seen that. Or someone who's gone a very resource-light game and needs to get the money in order to fuel future growth. You do get better with experience. I played the 4-player game, and the 2 of us who had played before in that 2-player game were 20 points or so ahead of the other 2 players who had not played. So that experience was really compounded in the future game. We knew how to work with our resources and gold more effectively in order to manage everything and build towards something. I had 92, the other player had 90, and then it was like 70 for the other 2 players. So big difference. And we played again, scores were much closer because you can get better, figure out what you're doing. Don't end up with a huge pile of gold that you don't do anything with. I have seen people do that multiple times. Just, oh, I'm going to get 7 gold. I'm going to take the bonus. I get another 7 gold, and that way I don't have to worry about the cost. But it depends upon what you're building. Maybe you don't even have to worry about the cost because you've got just enough and you're going to get a little more gold on the way. So as you play more, you get more experience, as in any other game. And maybe just don't go into Seven Wonders dice with 2 players. That's what Seven Wonders Duel is for. Don't go with this one. Go with that game with 2 players. But with more, you can get the Seven Wonders feel in a roll and write game that's very solitarish in that I'm just doing my own thing. But am I doing it better than others?